Hey guys, I'm Buckwsr, putting the do into do-it-yourself. And I got an interesting machine here with me today that's going to be part of our diagnosis and repair video. Have you seen one of these? This is the DR PowerWagon, and it's a motorized dump cart. And this belongs to a friend of mine, and I'm excited to have it here at my place today so that I can figure out a way to get it going again. Let me give you a closer look at the DR PowerWagon. So what it is a motorized dump cart. And it's got a, a 6 horsepower Tecumseh engine on it. And you can walk behind it and move it around the yard wherever you'd wish. It also includes a sulky, a seat that you can connect right there and ride it as you use it. I didn't bring the sulky here with me because that's not really necessary for the repair. And yeah, just show you a little bit the idea here. This is the DR PowerWagon, and it's made by Country Home Products Incorporated out of Vermont. I don't know how old this is. I was looking at the date of manufacture, the code on the engine. It looks like the engine's from 07, so 2007, and it's really in pretty good shape. So you can dump it wherever you want, and that's pretty cool. So you can take this tailgate off and dump it wherever you wish. There is a spot here for 3 cinder blocks that give it some extra weight and balance for dumping, but I took them off to bring it over here to my place. Didn't think I needed those for our repair. And I'll just tell you where I'm at with this. We got this engine to run. It's basically a lawnmower engine, but what's unique about it is that it's got a spring-loaded throttle. The spring-loaded throttle, and that spring keeps it by default in the idle or low speed position. And then up here on the handle, you've got a throttle lever. So what it has underneath is a centrifugal clutch, not unlike you would see on a go-kart or a mini bike. So that as you pull that, as you squeeze the throttle and bring it into higher speed, the clutch engages and the drive mechanism begins to turn. So just talk you through the drive mechanism here so you can see how it works. We squeeze the throttle, gets high idle, the clutch engages, and then this belt spins. Got a tensioner pulley right here to keep the belt tensioned, and you've got like a transaxle back here that's very much like what you would have on a riding lawnmower. And you can shift the gears. You got reverse, neutral, first, second, third, and fourth gears, you know, kind of like you would on a riding tractor. But the way it works is when it goes into low idle by default, when you're not squeezing the throttle, it's in low idle, so the clutch is not engaged and the belt's not spinning. It's at that point that you can shift into the gear that you want. Speeds 1, 2, 3, and 4, or into reverse. And then as you squeeze the throttle, engine speed is supposed to increase, the clutch engages, the drive mechanism engages, and you take off with your cart. So that's how it's designed to work. All right, so let me tell you what we've done so far. We were able to get this engine to run for 5 or 10 minutes, but then it wouldn't restart after that. So I know that it's got compression, it's got spark. It wasn't running except on starting fluid. I replaced the carburetor with one of those cheap aftermarket Chinese made carburetors, and again, that's when we got it to run for 5 or 10 minutes. The throttle wasn't very responsive. It sort of was stuck in a full speed condition, and that's as far as we got, and it wouldn't start after that. Now I'll tell you what I'm thinking. I want to give this engine one more chance. I want to see if I can take the original carburetor, clean it up, maybe put it through the ultrasonic cleaner, see if I can get it going one more time. If I can, great. If not, I think I'm just going to scrap this motor and put on another. It's basically a lawnmower engine, a vertical shaft lawnmower engine. The thing is, most lawnmowers today don't have a variable speed throttle. They just run at one speed. And this is designed with the centrifugal clutch to need you able to speed it up and slow it down so you can shift gears. So I think our first step is I'm going to take down the carburetor like I did before, see if between the two carburetors I can get it to operate like it's supposed to. Give that one more chance and see if we can use this engine that's the original engine. All right, so let's go ahead and take down this old carburetor and clean it up a little bit. And I think, yeah, that'll be fun to see if we can get this operating like it's supposed to. Because it really is a pretty cool item. So another thing about this DR PowerWagon, if you've spent any time watching any of my videos, you'll know how I feel about electric start, battery start on a small lawnmower type engine. It seems to me to be superfluous. But this is equipped with it, though it's not working. So you've got a key. Your key's got an off to ground out the coil, then a second position, that's for run, and then it's got all the way over the spring-loaded start. Well, that's not working, and I don't really care. I figure if you've got the physical strength to use this thing, to load it, to move it around the yard, to dump it, then you've probably got the physical strength to pull the rope starter 1, 2, 3 times as needed to get it running. If the engine is in the condition that it should be, you should be able to start it pretty easily with the rope pull without the need for battery start. So I'm not going to focus at all on the battery electric start feature of this. I just think that's kind of a waste. So I spent a little time cleaning up this engine, and carburetor's off, and I can get it to fire on starting fluid. I spray that directly into the intake, and you'll see that it will start and run briefly. So it does have spark and compression, although it does take 4 or 5 pulls for it to fire. And I see that the intake runs around under here over to here. So, I don't know. I'm going to try that original carburetor one more time and see if that'll get the job done for us. This is the replacement carburetor actually, and it was leaking fuel. So I doubled up the bowl gasket with the old gasket and the new gasket, and we're going to give it one more try. I just think it's a really cheap and poor design. Plastic bowl held on by this bracket. But we're going to put it up there and see what it can do for us. Alright, possibly we got a chance for it to run now. Possibly. Well, it was something. didn't want to stay. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not doing well. The throttle mechanism doesn't seem to be doing anything. And it can sometimes keep it running playing with this guy, but not always. Just not feeling too keen on this engine or this cheap carburetor, and I'm not really sure why. Something. All right, well, this guy's been teasing me long enough, running just enough to make me think, oh, maybe it'll pull itself together for us. But no, I think it's time to move on to some other options. And I've got a variety of choices littering the property. Briggs and Stratton, older, newer, in various states of repair. But the one that I'm honing in on is this guy right here. A 5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton from 1992. I know it runs well, and it has a variable speed throttle, which is what we need for that car. I featured this engine in another video, which I will link to above. But I think a 5 horsepower from 1992 is probably as strong or stronger than a 6 horsepower from 2007. This is the one I think we're going to go with, provided it'll unbolt easily enough from the deck. Here's another one we could use. Here's another one. But I think this is going to be our guy. I guess I should take that call. Just give you a listen to how this guy runs. I haven't run him in about a month, but let's see what happens. Yeah, we might be able to give that a try. Well, let's see how much trouble it's going to be to get this engine off. Start with the blade. All right. And now I got 3 mounting bolts. So keep your fingers crossed. There's one. Two. Oh yeah. And 3. What a surprise, none of them snapped off. That's great news. All right. All right, disconnect a couple of cables and it'll be down. This is our throttle control. So that looks like a 5/16. He's rolling away. All right. Put him back on there for the time being. Safety cable is on the other side. It's spring loaded. That's that guy. And it unclips from here. All right. Up here is our pull string guy. And that should be it. Ta-da! Wow, that's great. Let's see. I got to disconnect this ground wire here. Piece of cake. And I guess this throttle cable also has to come loose. Okay. And I think he's coming out. Yep. There's our clutch. Hopefully I'll be able to get him off all right. Probably what I should have done is compared the shaft on the other mower, on the other engine, to see if it's going to be compatible. That would have been a good consideration. Yep, maybe we'll get lucky. All right, there we go. All right, so I already took off the bolt here at the base, and now there's a set screw, which is a 1/8 inch Allen key. Alright, and that came off. But will the clutch itself come off? That is the question. Give it a lubrication. Is there another set screw? I think there is. That one I'm taking all the way out. And how about this guy? Oh, yes. That's gotta help, I think. Oh yeah, comes off. That's great. Happy about that. But the question is, will this fit on the other engine? Let's find out. All right, so here's what we're dealing with. This shaft appears to be 7/8 of an inch. But when you take a look at this guy, he appears to be 1 inch. So that's not going to work there. So if I'm going to use this engine, I'm going to have to get a clutch that is for a 1 inch shaft, because this is not it. This is a 7/8 shaft with a pin. So that's kind of disappointing. Yeah. Well, maybe I could just try a different engine then. Who knows? Keep thinking about it.
Alright guys, well I don't remember where we left off here working on the DR PowerWagon dump cart. I've installed a new engine. Didn't have luck with that old one. And I got it mounted up there pretty good. Now I'm going to see if I can get it running okay. And if it does, then I'll buy the new centrifugal clutch that goes under the base of it. I cleaned out that carburetor, rebuilt that. And but I have to take the cover off the engine because we need to tie in the kill wire to this key switch. So that's going to be our next step, and kill wire is over here, but you got to take the engine shroud off to get it. So I got 1, 2, 3 bolts here that will get the gas tank to pivot back out of the way. And then 1, 2 bolts here, and then 2 on the other side to get that engine shroud and starter, recoil starter out of the way. Then we'll have access to that kill wire, and we can tie it into the key switch. So let me grab some tools, and we'll get working on that. These 3 are 5/16 or 8mm. Take your pick. Now those 3 should allow our gas tank to pivot out of the way here. I'm gonna have to disconnect that air line, that primer bulb line. All right, so now these here they look like 3/8. And there's 2 more down here. You can take my word for it. should also have mentioned there's a bolt here on top for the holds the dipstick in place. That's a 5/16. We take him off also. Move him out of the way, but I won't remove the dipstick. All right, so this should come up. All right. So this here's our kill wire that grounds out. You know, previously on the lawnmower you have the safety brake cable, but here this wire runs to the coil to ground it out, to stop the engine. So I got to do two things here. Remove this wire off of this tab, and we've got to route another wire to connect to here from our key switch. But also, your brake cable on a lawnmower has this brake here, and I need to wire that up in such a way that it doesn't make contact with the flywheel anymore. So the easiest way to do that is just take a wire from here to here and wrap it around like that, and it'll keep that in the open position, and the little brake pad won't be pressing against the flywheel. So let me do that real quick, and I'll look for a piece of wire that we can use as a ground wire. It's going to come over here. One of these is our ground, and we'll figure out which one it is. It might be that guy right there, actually. All right. Pause the camera, and I'll be right back. Well, I'll just show you what I did here. This is our ground wire. It goes to the ignition coil and grounds it out when we shut down the engine. Here I wired that brake in the open position, like I told you. So here's our ground wire. I fished it through here over to the other side and connected it here to the ground wire, the green wire coming from the key switch. The key switch gets its ground right here on this black wire. It goes up to the key switch, and when the key is in the off position, makes continuity here with this wire to ground out our ignition coil and stop the engine. So that should be good. So when the key's in the off position, it will not start, and you have to turn it to the run position. And when you want to stop the engine, then you just put it back to off, and it should die. So let me put it back together, and then I'm going to see if I can fire up this engine. I also then have to work on the throttle control, because the idea is that the throttle should be controlled by this hand lever. So let me do a little work on that, put it back together, and see what we can get. Alright, so we got it running, and I was playing around with the engine speed and throttle. Alright, so our kill switch works with the key. What I wanted to show you here that I'm really happy about is this carburetor has both a high speed adjustment and a low speed, so I can set how low it'll idle, as well as I can set the top speed for when you give it full throttle. And what I like is it's spring loaded here, so pulling it into full throttle, hope you can see that. So when I squeeze it into full throttle, it comes back. Now I could add another spring right here to be sure that it comes back to full to low idle. But I think that I'm going to be able to use our throttle cable, connect it right here, and this is going to work just like we need it to. Yeah, it feels pretty good. So let me try to connect that throttle cable and we'll see if our throttle can be trigger controlled right there. That's feeling pretty good. Well, I think we're good to go with the engine here on the dump cart, and let me just show you what we did. I've got the we rewired the kill switch to the key. We got a spring-loaded throttle control, which is set up just fine here with this engine. I added another spring, probably can't see it too well, under here, just to help it spring back into low idle. So let's fire it up, and I'll show you how it's working. Okay, key to the run position. A few hits of the primer bulb. Got one hand on the throttle here, and we'll start it up. But as we squeeze it, see it's full throttle. Release, goes back to low idle. But I think that's how it's supposed to work. So I feel good about that. Now I've got the confidence to go and buy the centrifugal clutch for the PTO on this guy. I'm going to need a new belt here for the drive mechanism because that one's in bad shape. But now that the engine's mounted and running, I think okay, I feel confident that we can go ahead and buy what we need to get this thing completed. Not sure why it took so long to start. Let's try it again. All right. I'll order the parts and we'll be back in business in no time. See you then.
Well, a lot has transpired since we were last together working on the DR PowerWagon dump cart. Got the new engine on there, and then we set out to take care of the drivetrain and centrifugal clutch. So let me bring you up to speed on what I've learned. So here's our centrifugal clutch. And you remember the first engine had a 7/8 inch shaft, and our new engine has a 1 inch. So this centrifugal clutch we couldn't use, and did a lot of research searching online, and it's not impossible to find one comparable to this. I did find one, but it's just too darn expensive. So I want to try something else. For much, much less money, I could get a 1 inch drive pulley, same size pulley, 3 inch, set screw, 1 inch, you know, shaft size opening. And I want to try that. And then we will have to come up with a way to, you know, clutch the drive train, just like you do on your lawn tractor. You got a clutch pedal that slackens the belt and stops the transaxle from spinning. So I've got an idea. First thing we got to do is put this new belt on. So I got the new belt. We're going to put that on next, and I'll tell you what I have in mind to do to try and make this work. So let's see if we can get this on without too much trouble. We'll start back here and put it over the main transaxle pulley. Then we have this spring-loaded idler. That's key. So, remember that spring-loaded idler pulley. Let's see, I'm not doing that right. Or am I? I don't remember how we did this before. I think it's like this. It comes around that way. I should have taken a picture of how it was previously. Yeah, this is it, like this. And now we got to put our pulley on the our drive pulley on the crankshaft of this new engine. So that'll be our next step. And we'll just let that sit there like that. Good. All right, so here's a 3-inch pulley. I'm going to just put that down. But really what has to happen is we got to tighten down these set screws. That's what's going to secure the pulley. This guy one more time. Okay, that's good. I'd like to get something to give me a little more torque than this little thing. I have to look for it. It's a 5/32. I might have a 90-degree Allen key that I can torque that down a little bit better with. Hang on. Okay, here we go. This should give us a little more leverage. Tighten these down. Doesn't seem like the right size. There we go. There we go. Now I can get the belt on and properly and see what we got. Well, I put the old belt back on. The new one's just a little too short, I think. But let me explain to you what my idea was. Instead of a centrifugal clutch at the base of the crankshaft, I have this idler pulley. As you can see, it's spring-loaded here, and it keeps the belt tight. That means if the engine's running, the belt system is spinning the way we have it set up now without the centrifugal clutch. But I've attached this wire here, and when I pull on the wire, I release the tension on that idler pulley, and perhaps the belt will be loose enough that it wouldn't spin. It's very much like when you step on the brake on your riding lawn tractor. It slackens the belt and, stops spinning the transaxle until you let off the clutch and it goes back again taut against the belt. Well, I might have to get a longer belt because it still seems, even when I pull on this idler pulley, we still seem like it might continue to spin the transaxle. If this doesn't work, then perhaps I'll just have to break down and spend the money for the centrifugal clutch. But let's fire it up and just take a look with it running if we get the transaxle to stop spinning when I pull on this idler pulley and slacken the belt. So I'm going to fire it up, and once it's running, you'll see the transaxle spinning because the belt's tight. And we'll see what happens when I pull on this, our makeshift clutch. So let me fire it up, see what we can do. Here's our little clutch. Engine's at low idle. but even with the belt slackened, it still is tight enough that it's turning the transaxle. So it doesn't look like my idea worked. But, you know, let's see if we can force it into gear and take this for a little spin around the yard a little bit since we've got it running. Well, that's something. One of the things that I do like about what we've done, even though we don't have a centrifugal clutch and that the transaxle's spinning as long as the engine's running, we've got the idle tuned down pretty well so that you seem like you can really shift gears with it in low idle. You know, since we got the trigger controlled throttle, I feel like it works pretty well. I didn't feel like we were stressing the transaxle by shifting into gear while we had it idling so low. And I honestly think we just may leave it at that. It's working pretty good. And for a $20 drive pulley instead of a $170 centrifugal clutch, I think we're just going to leave it like this and enjoy it as is. So it feels good to have it back in business. Now I guess I'm going to have to do some yard work. Got debris all over this yard that I need to clean up. Well, I think it's time to wrap up this video on the DR PowerWagon. We spent a lot of time working on the old engine and gave up on it. We've got this replacement in here, which seems to be doing the job okay. And We're going with that 3-inch drive pulley as opposed to the centrifugal clutch, just to save money, and I think it's still going to work out okay. I just don't think there's any sense in putting more into that. We can use it as is. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed working on this little project. It belongs to a buddy of mine. I guess I'll get it back to him after I spend a little bit of time using it myself here in the yard. Buckwsr Weezer, putting the do into do-it-yourself. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.